Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. We have some exciting news for the Auburn fans as they land a commitment from Jyaire Shorter out of North Texas, a bigger wide receiver who clearly has made a lot of big plays in his career. As you see in 2022, he had a 27.3 yard average, which is incredibly high. Usually around 12, 15 that'd be kind of high in its own right. So he clearly a big play threat, did a lot for that North Texas team and should add some much needed depth at Auburn wide receiver room. Before we get too deep into this video, I just wanted to thank all the Auburn fans and really anyone who supports our channel. But again, Auburn fans, especially in these past few days with a couple of huge, exciting commitments on the offensive side of the football, the support really has been amazing. So thank you guys all again. And as we look at what Jyaire Shorter adds to this Auburn team, it they needed some help at that wide receiver position. You watch that spring game, and not that I take a ton from that. It was like a monsoon, so not a ton to take away from what the offensive players could do, especially those skill guys on the edge. But you could even kind of tell just by Hugh Freeze's tone that they were looking to add some pieces to this wide receiver room. And you knew, if you're an Auburn fan, you've known the passing attack has kind of been lagging behind a little bit for a while since really the end of Gus Malzahn's tenure. And you just knew once you land a guy like Peyton Thorne, you kind of know that it gives a guy like Jyaire Shorter a little bit of encouragement to come play for a team like Auburn. Again, a guy who was really productive at times in his North Texas career, dealt with a lot of injuries and difficulties in that sense. But the 2 years he played a lot of football in 2019 and 2022 showed that he is a monster, a really good deep threat at the end of the day, and can make a lot of explosive plays. And what I think really stands out from his game is those 50-50 balls. He is incredibly good at making those plays. And for a guy like Peyton Thorne, I think it'll help him a lot where he's got a guy who will make a play for him. Just like you watch what Keon Coleman did for him at Auburn last year. When Peyton Thorne needed a guy to step up, make a play, make a contested catch, Keon Coleman was his guy. And I think Jyaire Shorter, I should say, has a lot of those similar traits where 50-50 balls, he does a good job coming away with them. And just for Auburn as a program, they needed a guy who can make some explosive plays. I mean, you watch them last year, they just didn't get anything from that passing attack and no big plays at any point. And their wideouts, I mean, the quarterback play certainly didn't help, and Peyton Thorne should do a lot to address that. But their wideout play really probably wasn't good enough top to bottom either. And Hugh Freeze seemed to kind of indicate that he kind of thought the same thing. So he goes out there, a late pickup, and we talked about it when we talked about the Peyton Thorne news and then the Caleb Burton news. It didn't seem like that Auburn team was done adding to that offensive side of the field where again they just need to be better. And that defense we've talked about has been good for a few years now, and the additions in the portal they've made and the talent coming back from last year's team, it looks like they're going to be a really tough unit. So if Hugh Freeze is kind of going to break this team open a little bit and maybe win 7, 8, 9 games, which to me in his first year at Auburn would be a really good season, I would think. He's going to need something on this offensive side to pick up a little bit. And again, I think he's put the pieces now together where you certainly expect that. That offensive line, he did a great job revamping that. And you saw what they did in the spring game, and you see how much talent they landed in the portal. You kind of know that run game is going to be good. You feel good about Jarquez Hunter and Brian Battle and what they're going to give you. I think we still came away from that winter portal season thinking, what's this pass attack going to look like? And in the last couple of weeks now with Thorne, Burton, and Jyaire Shorter, it looks like he's done a lot to kind of answer those questions. And you kind of figured Hugh Freeze would. He's that type of coach. He's really aggressive. He kind of built that himself as that in Ole Miss, where aggressive recruiter, aggressive play caller. I think now he's got the pieces to be that to have that offense that he kind of will want to have and should want to have, and kind of play the style he wants to, where they're going to be really balanced and their passing attack won't be such a liability. So again, if you're an Auburn fan, I think this is huge news. And that probably will wrap up what they do. I would guess maybe they'll add another player. It's hard to say, but again, looking at what they did, they answered all the questions they needed to coming out of that spring practice season. In the future just seems very bright for this Hugh Freeze and Auburn team. And again, Jyaire Shorter was a guy who Miami wanted and made a push for, and to land him again, those are the battles that Hugh Freeze is going to need to win and continue to win to bring this Auburn program back to where that those Auburn fans want it, and frankly where it should be given its history and all the success they've had. So that'll be all for me today. I would keep it short, but obviously very exciting news for the Auburn football program, and yeah, thank you guys all for watching, and appreciate all the support again. It really does mean the world to us. So talk to you later.